I get this email on the Navy's secret network. And the email was sent to all the subordinate commanders. Urgent safety of flight issue. We are having numerous near midair collisions, and if we don't stop it, we're going to have to cancel the exercise. And attached to the video was the now famous leaked Go Fast video. F-18 pilots captured video of this UAP zorching over the water. There's no flight control surfaces or propulsion means that are visible. It's just a little round sphere. I was a superintendent of the Naval Observatory, so I understood how big the universe was, and I was open-minded to that there could be other life outside of the Earth. And then as a one-star, I had actually two jobs. I had a Pentagon job, and then I also was an operational commander. So there's a one-star job in Stennis Space Center, Mississippi, called the Commander of the Navy Meteorology and Oceanography Command. And that's all the folks that did what I did. So there's enlisted aerographers that do weather forecasting on aircraft carriers and shore stations. And there's other folks that, again, advise for anti-submarine warfare. And so all these, about 3,000 people, civilians and uniformed, do things like ocean mapping, weather forecasting, ocean forecasting, and I was in charge of them all. And so I'm in my office that one day, so I was splitting time between the Pentagon and D.C. and this office in Stennis. And one day I get this email on the Navy's secret network, SIPRNet. And it's from my boss's operation officer. I was reporting to a 4-star admiral, U.S. Fleet Forces Command. His operations officer was a 2-star. And the email was sent to all the subordinate commanders. This is at least 20 flags and SESs. All the deputies are copied on it. And the title of it is Urgent Safety of Flight Issue. All caps. And the body of the email said, if any of you know what these are, tell me ASAP. We are having numerous near midair collisions, and if we don't stop it, we're going to have to cancel the exercise. And attached to the video was the now famous leaked Go Fast video. You know it, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so the UAP, F-18 pilots captured video of this UAP zorching over the water. There's no flight control surfaces or propulsion means that are visible. It's just a little round sphere. And then the pilots are all going crazy, and other videos have mentioned how there were multiple ones out there. And I knew right then and there that was not ours. We don't have technology like that. I was read into a lot of SAPs, to the best of my knowledge, and we would never do that in a training range. Especially aircraft carrier workups are so compressed. They have to do all these things. The pilot's got to get certified. They got to land so many times on the carrier. They got to do all these things and certify to go deploy. So throwing out advanced technology in a training range during a pre-deployment workup just doesn't happen. I mean, people will get fired. So, and of course, we have testing ranges to do that. That's of course. So I knew that wasn't ours. I also had been read into all the threat, our adversaries' capabilities. I knew that nobody else had that. And so I knew right there that was something not ours. Not human, off-world, whatever. It just wasn't ours. And my deputy and I were both open-minded. He was an SES, and I pulled him over, and we've talked about it for a while. And we're just pretty much amazed. But the next day, that email was wiped from my computer and my deputies and everybody else. So, okay, it's gone. Wow, I wanted to save that thing. It was interesting. And come to find out, I go to monthly meetings at my boss's headquarters in Norfolk. And we always talk about staying up with the training cycle, and safety issues always came up. And this was a big safety issue. The ops officer said so. And so, and my job as the chief meteorologist in the Navy, another one of my hats, was safety of flight. And so we get into the next monthly meeting, and no one brings this stuff up. No one's talking about it, about a safety issue almost canceling this major training event. And then you come to find out, one of the pilots flying during those missions, that video was from the USS Theodore Roosevelt's Air Wing. It was Ryan Graves. He's pretty well known now as somebody who's come out, and he's founded an organization I'm on the board of called the Americans for Safe Aerospace, and he's advocating for, with draft legislation out there, to instill reporting protocols and for pilots and the FAA, commercial pilots and others by the FAA, because currently there and pretty much the Navy, if you come out and say, hey, I saw these things, it could be a career killer.
Yeah.
And I'll just, one more point about that. So I couldn't say anything at the time. And by the way, so it was wiped from my computer. I had been read into SAPs and I knew, oh, okay, this probably was connected to a SAP that the ops officer did not know. And the intelligence officer, one of the intelligence officers probably found that email and said, oh, shoot, and contacted whoever owned it, which was probably DIA. And they did their forensics and took everything off the system, whoever it was, I don't know. But I had been read into enough SAPs to know, oh, that probably happened, and that's why I didn't have it, and that's why no one's talking about it. But it bothered me, Shawn, because, and now that I talk with Ryan, I realized, holy cow, lots of these things were in the airspace, they were interfering with operations, and they were a safety issue.
How many?
I don't know how many, but there were... At one of the gimbal recording, it was another one from that period, and you can hear one of the pilots say, "There's a whole fleet of them." So I don't know, but there were a lot, and the pilots were seeing them all the time. And what gets me is that commanders like me, once admirals, who are in charge of the well-being, responsible for the well-being and safety of their people and their forces, they were basically forced to turn a blind eye because of some overclassification issue and make the pilots mitigate the safety threat on their own, which is feckless to me. We should be stepping up as flags, as leaders, and saying, all right, let's address this here. Let's talk about it at the 4-star meeting and make sure we don't have to cancel exercise or see pilots fall out of the sky because of interactions with these things or avoidance maneuvers that again. So that's why I've come out and been an advocate for what Ryan's doing.
Nobody brought up that email?
No. Well, and that's the thing, is that we all knew, okay, someone just touched a SAP and they got rid of it and we can't talk about it. Think about that. So we could have had planes falling out of the sky, but we're not going to talk about it because of this overclassification, that's what's, there's a lot of unethical aspects, I think, of this whole UAP system that exists right now in the government.
Man, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
That somebody, how high up does this go, do you think? These people pulling the strings saying, get rid of that, take that email out.
Well, I don't know.
Send out this disinformation.
Yeah. I don't know how high it is, but obviously AARO's last report, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office in the Pentagon, was so deliberately false that obviously it's, and they had to approve it. So it's got to be pretty high at the SecDef, and I would say certainly the NSC level. Probably ODNI. Avril Haines, I'm sure, had some decision to say, nope, we're not going to talk about this. And same with Jake Sullivan, the NSC, I'm sure. Because there's so many people clamoring for it right now, and it's getting so much media visibility. So it had to be up at that level. I don't know about the president, but probably the NSC director.
Man, well, so what is a oceanographer and all the different things that you've done for the government, for the Navy, for the country? Why are you focusing on underwater stuff? Yeah,
well, first off, we know we see them in the water too. The last example that I saw was from the USS Omaha off Southern California, a well-known video that Jeremy Corbell, one of the UAP media types, has gotten out there. And there's other examples too. Classified examples I can't talk about, but confirmation that we see these things underwater. And I can tell a story about a submarine officer who came out to me too. But so we know they're in the water, and that's my thing. I've done a whole career of ocean science, and so it's what I know, and it's who my network is. So, and now I'm on 2 national bodies that advise on ocean research, and I'm trying to get UAP studies into their research priorities. One reports to the White House and one's within the national academies. That's why. It's what I know, and I know they're in the water, and we're never going to have a full understanding of what the nature of UAP unless we look in the water too.
No matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.